life by bringing you here. I knew this day would come. It's not safe out there.
10 Cloverfield Lane stars John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead and tells a story about a young woman who wakes up after a car accident to find herself in this underground bunker with two men that are now telling her that the air has been contaminated by some kind of attack on the outside world. Not knowing who to really trust, she is forced to live with these strangers until she can figure out what is really going on. Now, there isn't a whole lot that I can say about this movie because, as you've probably noticed, the marketing has been intentionally vague. And that is for good reason, because going into this film, the less you know about it, the better. But I will tell you right now, I loved this movie. 10 Cloverfield Lane felt a lot like a long episode of The Twilight Zone to me. You go into it not really knowing what you're about to get into, which to me was really refreshing because that's kind of an uncommon theater experience now, unfortunately. You don't get to go into a theater very often not knowing what you're about to get into, and I just loved that. All we know when Michelle wakes up is what these characters are telling her, but there's also this immediate sense that something is just not quite right. Which leads me into the characters themselves. John Gallagher Jr., who I really enjoyed in the HBO TV show The Newsroom, does a very solid job in this movie. And while he's definitely the smallest of the three leads, he does still have a couple of really strong moments to shine and to flesh out his character, and manages to bring some warmth and some humor to this film. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as our main character is actually someone you can root for because, unlike characters in a lot of these other movies, she actually has some brains. She's getting herself in these predicaments, fighting to survive, but she's figuring out smart ways to get out of them. This is definitely the best work that I have seen from this actress, but even more than that, the character is just well written. Her arc from beginning to end is expertly handled. But the true linchpin for this movie is John Goodman. This guy is one of the most consistently great character actors working in Hollywood today, and he is freaking brilliant in this movie. He plays the doomsday prepper whose bunker they're living in, and you can just immediately tell that there's something not right about this guy. There's something wrong here. And it's a marvelously subtle performance because there's moments when he seems like a regular guy, and then he'll just say something quietly that sounds crazy. Or he might just suddenly snap. His motivations are constantly being called into question because you never know what he's really about to do or whether what he's saying is true or not. I only have a couple of small gripes about this film, and for one, it's really well shot for the most part, but there is one action sequence when the camera gets a little bit too close, and so it sort of gets really shaky and it's hard to see what's going on. And the second thing is just sort of a gripe, because towards the end of the movie there is a twist. And don't worry guys, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it does feel really jarring. It happens so suddenly and contrasts what's been happening in the movie so much that I was just like, whoa, okay. And that's gonna turn some people off, but I actually really didn't have that big a problem with it, and the more I think about it, the more I think it actually is a pretty good way to wrap up the story. Before I end this, there is one other thing I want you guys to know, and it's not a spoiler. J.J. Abrams actually came out and said this long before the movie was released, and that is that this is not a direct sequel to 2008's Cloverfield. They have these vague similarities, but they're very different for the most part. It is kind of like separate episodes of The Twilight Zone because the name is there, but the stories are very much separately their own. So in conclusion, I absolutely recommend that you check out this movie, and seriously, the less you know about it, the better. This is a deliberately paced film with an awesome sense of tension, fascinating characters, and tons of twists and turns along the way. Forget about any expectations you might have going into it, and just let the story pull you in because it is a really good one. I'm giving 10 Cloverfield Lane an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much as always for watching, guys. You know, I really do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed my review for 10 Cloverfield Lane, then please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below with your thoughts. And if you want to see more reviews like this, then please subscribe. In preparation for Batman v Superman coming out in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing my review for one of my all-time favorite films, The Dark Knight. It'll hopefully be out in about a week. But until next time, my name is Josh Wingard. Keep watching those movies. I'll see ya.